Hi there, it's a very hot August here in London. Um, I just wanted to make this video because I know a lot of people wonder what on earth has happened to people and what has happened to our societies. Um, Things seem so crazy, especially with things like all the political correctness and all the intersectional politics and the hysteria. I mean, real hysteria and the apparent brainwashing of people by the left, or at least of significant sections of people, and they wonder, well, what has happened? And people sometimes do, they kind of like blame the millennials, because the millennials have obviously come into their own, and they seem to be, or a section of the millennials seem to be feeding the hysteria and acting as the kind of like ground troops of some of the hysterics. Now, I don't think that's entirely fair on the millennials. I mean, aside from the fact that they're obviously not all like that, but you've got to remember the millennials didn't teach themselves. They didn't bring themselves up. They didn't teach themselves at school or at university. It was other people that did that. And I think what occurs to me is that we have a kind of confluence of two things here. One is the millennials coming of age, but the other thing which is really important is that we've got the influence of a certain section of baby boomers who are like the kind of, probably would have been like the hippie radicals from the 60s, and the people who are really influenced by them. But they're the people who went on to go into academia, to go into things that would affect policy, that would affect the law, that would affect things that ultimately govern us, that shape how we look upon things, that shape how kids are educated, how college students are educated. And I think that's what we've got. So we've got like this, all these baby boomers who have actually indoctrinated these kids, and I think are really wanting them to basically be their cannon fodder and their shock troops of their failed revolution that they never had and they want it now. I think it's them that are driving a lot of it, one way or another. And these people who I feel are so corrupt and so deluded, they've got into politics, the laws, politics, the law, and into academia. And they want to push this. They want the millennials to be their second youth, in a sense. And I find it really, really disgusting. But I think that's part of what's happening anyway. And and I also see it as well with like a lot of these old baby boomers. And I'm kind of like a bit of a more of a late stage baby boomer. I was born at the very end of the 50s, so kind of at the punk end of the baby boomers rather than the hippie end, if you want to put it that way. And I'm just very, very critical of my own generation, or that section of my generation, and what they did. I think it's disgusting. Now, I think that you do get, another thing is that you get a lot of these baby boomers who are not necessarily involved directly in politics, not necessarily involved in pushing these things as radicals or as college professors or this sort of stuff. But you still have these people who have carried over this particular sort of utopianism with a radical edge to it from the 1960s, and it still sort of like resides in them somewhere as this kind of dream or this ideal. And I think these people also form a kind of deluded support base for a lot of what's going on. They see this and it's almost as if, again, they want their failed revolution. They want to see their failed revolution or what reminds them of it before they actually do all die off, we're all getting on. But, it's like that's what they want. That's what they want. And they're deluded. And they're kind of like, they see themselves as liberals, but their liberalism is a liberalism of emotionalism, not of reason, not of a love of freedom, but simply a kind of emotionalism. And it forms itself into a kind of cowardice, which will accommodate all sorts of authoritarianism, so long as it comes from the left, so long as it comes from people who check the right things in their, check the right boxes about LGBT rights and race and women and feminism. They'll go along with all sorts of stuff because it's just, they're not thinking. They don't really think. They simply, they remember stuff from their youth, and they remember what they've always taken as their guide, you know, almost by rote, and they follow their emotions. And it's sad. It's really sad because they're fools and they're useful idiots for the really nasty people and the nasty stuff which will actually come to pass if these people actually get what they want, because they will cause tremendous chaos. They will cause tremendous decay in society, as they already have as far as they can, but they're going to make it much worse if they can. For some reason, they are really going for it, it seems. But that's what I think is happening at the moment anyway. It's the fact that you've got the old baby boomers who are reaching the end of the line, yeah? And yet some of their activists have really burrowed a long way into society, into places of influence. And then you have got new generations which have been re-indoctrinated with the same stuff as the new cannon fodder of these people. And I think that's what's happening. It's like, it's the confluence of two things. It's highly corrupt, and it's passively supported by a lot of baby boomers and probably some Gen Xers who are just responding emotionally to what are essentially their own kind of dog whistles, you know. They think they're being compassionate, they think they're being caring, they think they're being liberal, they're being useful idiots, they're being fools. And I'm sorry to say, that's what I see happening. Anyway, that's my thoughts. Speak to you all soon.